We've all been there, right? You jump into something competitive, maybe online, and the learning curve just feels steep, like incredibly steep.
Yeah, like hitting a brick wall. You want to learn, you want to compete, but you just feel completely outmatched from the get-go.
Exactly. And you just feel kind of overwhelmed, maybe even a bit intimidated.
That feeling, that initial overwhelm, it pushes a lot of people away. What some platforms get right is understanding that most people aren't aiming to be like the absolute best in the world.
They just want a chance.
They want an environment where they feel like they can succeed or at least learn without getting, financially or psychologically crushed.
Which brings us neatly to online poker. It's a
Yeah.
perfect example. So today we're doing a deep dive into this idea of the soft field. And we're using ClubGG as a kind of case study to see how its specific setup gives players a real psychological edge.
Right. And our goal here, for you listening, isn't just to define soft field. It's really to unpack why things like how you join, the community feel, and crucially, the sense of fairness, why those things lower stress.
And boost confidence.
And boost confidence,
That's
exactly. Which, in the end, helps your potential to actually win. This dive really shows that in competition, especially online, feeling comfortable mentally is like half the battle.
Okay, let's start right there. What exactly is a soft field when we're talking about online games, like poker?
Yeah, so a soft field, it's pretty simple, really. It just means the average player skill level in that game or on that platform is lower.
Lower than what, though?
Lower than what you'd find on, say, the big traditional poker sites.
Yeah.
Those places are often full of what people call grinders.
Ah, the professionals.
Yeah, full-time players. They're using software, advanced strategy, game theory. They play huge volumes of hands. It's their job. A soft field is, well, it's the opposite of that.
So in a soft field, I'm more likely playing against someone who's just there for fun. Like, it's their Tuesday night entertainment, not their career.
Precisely. That's what the sources really point to, the players in these softer fields.
Yeah.
Mostly recreational. Their motivation is enjoyment, not pure profit.
And that means they play differently.
Totally. They're not usually digging deep into optimal strategies. Their play is often more transparent, predictable maybe. They make common mistakes.
Mistakes that someone with even a bit of experience could spot and, well, take advantage of.
Exactly. And that immediately lowers the stress level, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to learn, facing someone making understandable errors is way less demoralizing than just getting steamrolled by some super optimized pro again and again.
It creates this really important positive feedback loop. It makes it easier to start, easier to learn, and you actually see yourself improving because you're winning some hands, learning from mistakes, yours and theirs.
You stay engaged.
Engagement is absolutely key for these platforms, keeps people coming back.
Okay, so this idea of creating a more manageable, less stressful environment leads us straight to ClubGG. Why has this platform become such a go-to for players looking for that softer feel? It wasn't just luck, right? It's built differently.
Right. It's very much by design. They really engineered it to be less intimidating from the ground up. And it starts with their structure. It's club-based.
Club-based, how does that work?
So instead of one massive anonymous pool of players like on the big sites, ClubGG lets players join smaller private clubs or these regional unions. It feels much more decentralized, casual.
More like joining a local game night than entering some huge global arena?
Exactly that vibe. It cuts down on the anonymity and the sheer scale that can scare off beginners.
Okay, that makes sense socially.
Yeah.
But you mentioned financial and psychological barriers earlier. That's often the big one, the money aspect.
Yeah.
How does ClubGG handle that differently?
Yeah, that's a huge differentiator. Most traditional poker sites, you deposit your own money, right? Your cash is directly at risk on the table.
Standard real money play.
Right. ClubGG often uses a different approach. It might be a subscription model or using play money chips within these private clubs that maybe have some other value attached outside the app. But the key is,
It decouples the direct risk.
it decouples the direct risk in the player's mind. When you pay, say, a subscription fee for access, you've paid for the privilege of playing. The outcome of any single hand doesn't feel like it's directly hitting your bank account in the same raw way.
Ah, so it lowers the perceived risk. Even if there are stakes involved within the club system, the initial hurdle feels different.
Drastically lower perceived risk. It lets players focus more on the game, on learning, on the fun, rather than sweating every single bet with their own deposited cash.
So that subscription or club access model really shifts
Mm.
the vibe, like you said, from feeling like a serious financial investment to more of a community activity you pay to access.
Exactly. And that ties right into the third factor, the community focus. The whole club structure inherently emphasizes the social side of poker.
Which has always been a big part of the game, face-to-face anyway.
Totally. By letting people form their own groups, run private games, have their own leaderboards, ClubGG taps into that social, low-pressure atmosphere that the big anonymous sites just, well, they can't really replicate.
Okay, so you've got easier entry, lower perceived financial risk, and a strong community feel. To keep that casual vibe going, I assume the games themselves have to match.
Spot on. That's point 4. Flexible stakes and formats. They really cater to lower stakes. CAF games and tournaments where the money involved isn't huge.
So the pressure stays low.
Exactly. When the stakes are manageable, the priority stays on enjoyment, on the game itself, not on intense, high-level, potentially bankroll-busting analysis.
Right, and one last piece, which feels crucial especially for newcomers. What about trust? You hear stories, worries about bots, or unfair games online.
Yeah, trust is paramount. And that's the fifth key element, the perception of fairness. And this is where the backing comes in. ClubGG is part of the GG network.
Okay, and that name carries weight.
Huge weight. GG Network is known globally. It's one of the most trusted names out there. For a recreational player, seeing that connection means security, reliable software, anti-cheating measures, fair shuffles, all that stuff.
So it removes that big mental hurdle of, is this place legit?
Precisely. It lets them just relax and focus on playing cards, knowing the platform itself is solid and trustworthy.
Okay, so if we bundle those 5 things together, easy entry, the different financial model, community focus, low stakes, and trusted, it all leads to that core psychological edge we talked about. How does that actually manifest for the player? What mental shifts happen in these softer fields?
Well, the first and maybe the most powerful one is a boost in confidence. It's huge.
Because you're not constantly getting crushed.
Right. You feel less outmatched. You find yourself in more, well, fair fights, you could say.
Yeah.
Winning isn't suddenly easy, but it feels possible.
Yeah.
And that feeling of possibility is absolutely critical for keeping a beginner engaged long term.
And when you feel more confident, you actually want to play more.
Yeah.
It makes the whole thing less of a chore and more fun.
Exactly the second benefit. More fun, less stress. Take away that crushing pressure to perform perfectly, remove the fear of losing huge amounts of money, and players just relax.
They enjoy the game for the game's sake.
Yeah, they enjoy the strategy, the social interaction, they tend to play longer sessions, they come back more often, and that activity actually strengthens the whole ecosystem.
It sounds a bit counterintuitive, but does playing against slightly weaker opponents actually help you learn faster sometimes?
Oh, absolutely. That's the third psychological edge. Accelerated learning opportunities. Think about it. If you play against a super pro who exploits every tiny mistake you make, you might not even understand what you did wrong. You just lose.
You get overwhelmed.
Yeah, paralyzed by complexity.
Right.
But if you play against someone who makes a more obvious mistake, like say, they call way too often with weak hands, you see it clearly.
And you learn how to react to that specific mistake.
Exactly. You learn to value bet stronger, maybe bluff less. You see the cause and effect directly. It allows for this really practical, visible learning curve without that constant demoralizing feeling of just being totally lost.
And the payoff, of course, is actually seeing some positive results.
Which brings us to number 4, increased win potential. It's not just beginners. Even players who are, okay mid-level players, they might struggle on the really tough sites.
But here, they can find success.
Find more success, yeah. They win more often. And that success is motivating. It encourages them to keep playing, keep improving, stay loyal to the platform. It feeds that whole positive cycle we talked about.
Okay, this paints a really clear picture of why ClubGG works so well for the casual, recreational player.
Yeah.
But it does raise a big question. If the games are softer, more profitable, wouldn't the really good players, the pros, just flood the place and eventually ruin it for everyone else? Drive out the casuals?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And it gets to the heart of why this model can be sustainable. The answer is yes. Skilled players do actively seek out these softer fields. Why wouldn't they? It helps their win rate.
So how does the ecosystem survive that?
It works because the structure caters to both groups, just
Right.
in different ways. It creates a kind of win-win dynamic.
Okay, explain that. How does it benefit both?
Well, for the serious, skilled player, ClubGG offers a place to maximize their profits against weaker competition. It's also, frankly, a less stressful environment for them too, compared to battling other top pros constantly. More action, maybe more fun for them too sometimes.
And they might use it for practice.
Definitely. It's a great place to try out new strategies, maybe build up a bankroll before jumping back into the tougher, higher stakes games elsewhere. It's like a valuable training ground that also pays well.
Okay, so the pros get profitability and a lower stress playing field.
Hmm.
What about the casual player then? How are they protected?
They're protected by the core design we discussed. The community focus keeps bringing in new players. The subscription or club access model lowers that initial financial fear. The focus on low stakes keeps the really high stakes predators maybe looking elsewhere for the biggest games.
So the constant influx of recreational players, drawn by the community and safety nets, is enough to sustain the ecosystem even with pros present.
It seems to be, yes, it's this ongoing loop. The structure keeps the casual base engaged and growing, which in turn keeps the games attractive for the skilled players. It's designed to keep everyone finding something they value, whether it's fun, community, learning, or profit.
So stepping back a bit, thinking beyond just poker, the big takeaway here seems really applicable anywhere there's competition or learning involved.
I think so.
It's that the platform or the environment that really succeeds is often the one that smartly prioritizes the user's psychological comfort. Things like fairness, fun, accessibility, building those into the actual structure. That's key.
Absolutely. And looking forward, you can see this trend influencing how games evolve, especially in these recreational friendly spaces. For instance, we're seeing newer formats pop up, like PLO6.
PLO 6.
Yeah.
Pot limit Omaha 6 card. Standard PLO has 4 hole cards, right? 6 sounds chaotic.
It is. It's definitely chaotic, which is part of the appeal, I think. Adding 2 extra cards just blows up the number of possible starting hand combinations.
Exponentially, I'd imagine.
Right. It forces everyone, even experienced players, to completely rethink their strategies, their hand ranges, what hands are actually strong when everyone has 6 cards. It becomes much more creative, unpredictable, high action.
So it keeps the game fresh and engaging, even within a soft field context, prevents it from getting stale.
Exactly. It's a new puzzle for the thinkers, and it's just wild, high-action fun for the casual players. It shows how these platforms can innovate to keep that engagement high.
Yeah, so we should probably expect more of that. More social features, maybe new game types.
I'd bet on it. Things like better chat, maybe integrated streaming for clubs, more novel game formats like PLO6, or even crazier stuff. The demand seems to be for that lower stress, high engagement, socially connected experience.
And maybe the final thought to leave everyone with, the real nugget of wisdom here that applies way beyond cards.
Yeah.
It's that success isn't just about getting better at the skill itself. It's also about mastering field selection.
Choosing your battles wisely.
Exactly. Understanding the psychology of where you choose to compete or learn based on your current level, your goals, even just your mental energy that day. That's a really critical strategic skill.
It's about making smart choices about where you invest your time and effort to maximize your own growth, your own trajectory. Whether that's poker or learning an instrument or starting a business, choose your field.
A powerful takeaway. Finding the right pond is just as important as learning how to swim.